Greetings, everyone. My name is Benjan Damalaon with student number 20166625. I'm a second-year nursing student from Western Sydney University. Before I start my presentation, let me share you my screen. In this session on mental health, I am here to present to you about people living with major depression. This presentation aims to explore and focus on this mental disorder in Australia. I will be providing some information about depression and its background, incidence rate, and the challenges that a person may encounter living with this condition. Some relevant recovery-based nursing interventions, and one Australian service provider that is designed to help and reduce the impact of this disorder on people living with major depression. Before we go further in this presentation, let me show you the overview of this medical condition. Major depression is also known as the major depressive disorder, is a prolonged and recurring illness characterized by a persistently depressing mood and a decreased quality of life in most activities. While it is normal to feel sad, depressed, or down from time to time, some people feel these emotions profoundly, repeatedly, and for no explicable reason. Depression is a serious illness that affects overall health and well-being. It is difficult to pinpoint exactly what causes depression, but several factors may contribute. Depression is frequently driven by a complex of individual and biological and environmental factors. Depression comes in various forms. The clinical manifestations can range from mild, yet still incapacitating, to life-threatening ones. So it is important to know that disorders are associated and what symptoms they have. Anyone can be associated with depressive symptoms at any time. However, there are instances when we are more vulnerable, such as when we become adults, retire, starting a family, or losing someone we care about. People who have been subjected to discrimination based on their sexual orientation, gender identity, racial background, or religion may be more susceptible to depression. Poole et al. Stated that one of the most frequently diagnosed psychological disorders in Australia and New Zealand is depression, which can affect anyone at any point in their lives. According to Beyond Blue, about 1 million Australian adults are depressed annually. Depressive disorders affect 1 out of every 6 people at some point in their lives, 1 for every 5 women, and about 1 in 8 men. On this slide, it will show the incidence rate and general statistics I found from Beyond Blue for people experiencing depression in Australia. Depression affects 1 in every 7 Australians at some point in their lives. Depression affects 1 in every 16 Australians right now. 1 out of every 6 Australians is afflicted by depression, anxiety, or the two combined. Women are more likely than men to experience depression or depressive symptoms. Depression and anxiety are common in women than in men. Around 10 to 15% of elderly people are depressed. Around 30% of people living in residential care have much higher rates of depression. Stigmatizing views about depression are more prevalent among people over 65. More than 3 times as many LGBT Australians are depressed compared to heterosexual Australians. Major depression is more common in teenagers than in children. And lastly, in comparison to non-Indigenous Australians, Indigenous Australians are nearly 3 times more likely to experience depression and anxiety. According to Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, it was approximated that the national recurring expenditure on mental health-related services was $10.6 billion in 2018 to 2019, inflation adjusted. This encompasses a 3.1% annual increase since 2014 to 2015. The overall increase in national spending on mental health-related services was 1.5% from $396 per Australian in 2014 to 2015 to $420 per person in 2018 to 2019, indexed to inflation. Now, I would like to draw your attention to the clinical manifestations of people living with depression. Beyond Blue has classified and categorized behaviors, feelings, thoughts, and physical symptoms of depression as shown on this slide. It is important to note that individuals with depression experience changes in their self-esteem. There is a chance they will lose interest in activities they used to find pleasurable. They may be exhausted, have trouble sleeping, or need to sleep more than ordinary. Anger and lack of concentration have been reported in some people. Depression makes it nearly impossible to get through each day, as explained by Beyond Blue. The second point that needs to be emphasized is that depression is characterized by a depressive state for the most of the day, as disclosed by the patient or ascertained by others, and that the energy, clarity of thought, and satisfaction and happiness in life that people have when they are not depressed are all sapped away when they suffer from depression. Routine actions like going to the grocery store or preparing meals become extremely complicated. Some people struggle to leave their homes or do the necessary tasks to keep them operating normally, such as working, taking care of their personal hygiene, or being fully present in the meaningful relationships in their lives, as cited by Clark and Temmhoff. And the third area to highlight is that people habitually feel bad, even when there is no real reason about it. As a result, they cut themselves off from everyone around them since they believe they are a liability or worthless of care and affection from others. Isolation is common, and people often despair about ever getting better or returning to function normally, as expounded by Clark and Temmhoff. According to Clark and Temmhoff, the role of nursing is essential. For individuals with depressive disorders, nurses can play several different roles in their care and treatment. The establishment of interpersonal relationships is the cornerstone of mental health nursing tasks and has therapeutic efficacy. It is also crucial to highlight that the therapeutic relationships fosters a wider variety of other interventions. Those who have confidence in their nurse are more inclined to accept the interventions that are being presented to them. Person-centered care, practical focus, and holistic care provided by mental health nurses help patients move forward with their lives and enjoy the highest possible quality of life. Mental health nurses assist individuals in the simple, everyday details of life where other disciplines cannot. A person's recovery from depression may be aided by helping them re engage with their community. In some cases, this may entail assisting the individual in reconnecting with previous activities or groups. People suffering from chronic pain and subsequent depression may find it beneficial to select home care or personal care services. Seeking support with basic grooming and running errands can take a lot of stress out of battling depression. Mental health nursing's ability to walk alongside patients as they recover and give them the gift of time is undervalued. People with mood disorders may benefit from simple interventions such as sitting with them and listening as they share whatever information is relevant to them at the time. A person's mental health can be improved by simply spending time with someone empathetic, non-judgmental, and available, which is becoming increasingly rare in today's hectic world. Assisting people in obtaining other services like employment assistance or government-run programs like Centerlink or the Department of Housing can be an efficient approach. Using many services is difficult due to the excessive bureaucracy. Nurses who work in the community-based settings can assist people in navigating these bureaucratic processes and gaining access to it. For the last 2 decades, Beyond Blue has offered assistance and services to people in Australia. It is Australia's most renowned and frequently visited mental health organization, specialized in helping people who are suffering from anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts. They do not take their success for granted, and neither do they get complacent. It was necessary for them to be revolutionary and adaptable in the face of the generational defining events that took place in 2020. As part of their Beyond 2020 strategy, they focus on three key strategic areas. First, promoting mental health and well-being so that the people are better informed, feel secure sharing details about their problems, and are substantiated to seek assistance when they need it. Second, facilitating others in maintaining and recovering from mental health conditions by providing information, guidance, and encouragement. And lastly, assisting the country's effort to prevent suicide through scientific studies, relevant data, assistance, and support, as well as public awareness. To wrap up my presentation, depression is a life-threatening condition that should be taken seriously. As nurses, understanding the condition and its causes, manifestations, prevention and treatment, and relevant health services available will help stop the progression of this mental illness, and we will be able to provide a holistic approach of care to these vulnerable individuals. The Australian government has partnered with many mental health care services to be aware of these diseases and push massive changes and encourage everyone to join the fight and support and help people suffering from mental illnesses nationwide. That brings me to the end of my presentation. For more information about the diseases, please do not hesitate to contact Beyond Blue or any mental health services available. Remember, you are not alone. Again, my name is Benjan Dumalaon and thank you for your time.